And we're joined by Kyle Neddenriep of the Indy Star. Kyle, how are you, sir?
Hey, good fellas. How you guys doing?
Good, good. It's going to be a rough couple of days for high school sports. It looks like. I expect there could be some cancellations on the offing.
Yeah, I was going to try to get to a game tonight, but I don't know that the one I'm covering probably not going to happen, and I don't know if any of them really are. I think it's going to be a lot of games this was an odd week because a lot of the boys' games were moved to Thursday because girls' sectionals are this week, Friday and Saturday night, so they have a lot of Thursday games and a lot of Saturday afternoon games this week. So it was kind of an odd schedule for the boys anyway. So I think a lot of the games tonight will either be moved to next week, or if you weren't playing Saturday, play Saturday afternoon. So it was kind of setting up that way anyway. I don't know if a lot of, the snow is starting to come down pretty good now on top of that ice. And then, that'll make, just kind of looking this morning, it looked like a lot of wrecks and, the cars sliding and stuff like that. So I can't imagine they'll put a lot of school buses on the road later today.
Yeah, I wouldn't think. Ross points out, at least we have UCLA and Arizona tonight. So there we go. Some West Coast basketball. We'll throw that in there. We can use all that. I was reading your article on Trent Sisley. The Sisley name, of course, has been around for a little bit, but man, these guys have really kind of made a name for themselves in the last couple of years, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's Blake was more of a Indian All-Star last year, of course, and I think he scored 1,500 points, and then went to Evansville where he's a freshman now, and he's playing on the team now. But he was more of kind of a back to the basket traditional, post a little bit more who could shoot. Trent is like a 6'7" guard as a freshman who's super athletic and handles the ball, plays a perimeter, can also go inside. And he's just super competitive, has a fire to him that's a little bit different, I think. And, really impressed, watching him. I haven't, watched him in the preseason some, and then just kind of watching online, throughout the year. And, he's 19 points, over 9 rebounds a game, playing at a really high level already as a freshman and shooting the ball. I think the one question was about his outside shooting, and he's really shot the ball pretty well from the perimeter already this year. So, IU and Purdue offered him before he even played a game in high school. And, I think he's living up to the promise of what he, was projected to do, and probably even more so if that's possible so far this year. So I'd put him and, the kid from Fishers, Jalen Harrelson, who's, kind of similar, really. He's a 6'6", 6'7" guard, I would say. I'd classify him as that, who can also go inside. And, those two guys, man, it's really fun to see what they've accomplished so far and what they project off in the future as too.
That first description you gave when you just started, if we could, whatever the period was when you stopped, if you could take that out and put that in front of college coaches, there would be a stampede of every coach within, I don't know how many, wherever, to get here to see that, because a 6'7" freshman guard with the skills that you just talked about, I mean, that just doesn't come along very often.
No, yeah, it's very rare. And really, when I was down there before the season, I was kind of, how do you want to, write about this kid? I mean, you don't want to put undue pressure on him. And I think just by writing about him kind of, puts him more in a spotlight and whatever. But, I really get the sense that like he's not really into that. He doesn't really care about the outside stuff. And I know he's 15 and you're still kind of figuring out everything, but he's so motivated and just works his butt off. I think that's the thing I took away the most of was he's very driven to be the best he can be, and I think that's probably the best thing about him, in addition to all these other skills he has, is he doesn't let up, and I think that's going to bode well for his future. You know, and all the other obvious things he can do on the court are great too. But he's just very motivated, and if he keeps that type of mentality, and no reason to think he won't, you know, he's just going to keep getting better. The one thing like I mentioned, he had to kind of you know, redo his shot, his outside shot. He would kind of pull it from his left hip, you know, before, you know, and he really, as a middle schooler, he wasn't having to shoot a whole lot anyway. He'd get to the basket, and, you know, I think I had in the story, he had 28 dunks as an 8th grader. And, you know, so, I mean, that's pretty rare for an 8th grader.
I think that's what I had. I have to go back and check my notes.
You're within 28 of that anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know, he just really, you know, he's so athletic, but he had to redo his shot. Really worked on that throughout the, you know, the months leading up to his freshman year. And, you know, I think he's shooting. The goal for his coach, Nate Hawkins, said, you know, let's have you shoot 40%. Yeah, let's make that your goal from 3. And I think right now he's 37 point something from 3. So he's right there, you know, and that's something I was curious about, how he would shoot. He didn't shoot a ton, maybe, you know, 2 per game, or, you know, maybe a shade over 2 per game. But still, you know, that's a pretty good percentage. If you're shooting 37%, I think anybody would probably live with that.
Having an older brother, Brent, that's already in college, gone through the process, gone through the all-star process, and the notoriety and all that, has to help him immensely as well. I'm sure, and as his brother, as you can see, has helped him with advice, but that has to be a great advantage to him to help navigate, because that's not easy as a kid, navigating all this stuff, people coming at you, congratulating you. And as a freshman in high school, oh my God, I cannot imagine what a punk I was as a freshman in high school.
Yeah, I think his brother, you know, I talked to his brother last year, Blake, about what, you know, because I even as an 8th grader, I heard about Trent. I knew, you know, who he was anyway. I hadn't seen him play, but, you know, you heard about this kid coming up who was like this phenom. And, you know, so I was asking Blake, and, you know, sometimes older brothers can be, yeah, he's, you know, whatever. But, you know, he was like, man, I wish I could play 1 year with him, you know, because, you know, what a, you know, fun player he is. And, you know, they I think would have probably fed off each other pretty well, because it's kind of an inside outside type thing, and what a duo that would be. So he was a little disappointed he missed out on 1 year by 1 year of playing with his brother. But, you know, he was saying you know, he admitted, you know, he's way more athletic than me at that age. He's way better ball handler and all those things. And Blake was, you know, really, not to diminish him, I mean, he's a really good player at Heritage Hills. And like I said, he scored, I think, 1,500 something points. So, and he was playing early on in his career as a freshman too. But, you know, just different types of players. And I think, you know, even their parents said it in the story, you know, the different kind of personalities. You know, Blake is you know, he's a guy who can, you know, go fishing for a weekend and he'll be fine with that. And Trent is not, you know, he's just kind of singularly focused on basketball. And, you know, Trent talked about, you know, how they would, during the pandemic, play 1-on-1, you know, in the outdoor courts, full court, you know, to stay in shape. And, you know, that really kind of helped him too, to, you know, learn, like, how do I play against a guy who's 6'8" and can block my shots, and, you know, make him work on his perimeter game a little more even. So he didn't win many of those games, but he at least, you know, played a lot against his brother. And, you know, that can only help you, obviously. So, yeah, I think that connection with Blake has definitely helped Trent. And also his dad played at Heritage Hills. He's you know, played at Southeast Missouri State back in the day. And he was a really good player too, and coached at Heritage Hills. And he got out of it when Blake was entering high school right around then. And it's kind of stayed around the program, and he teaches and as a, you know, in the school system, and then helps coach. So, you know, he's still around there too. And him and Trent are a lot alike, and he takes him to the gym all the time. And, you know, so they have a good connection as well. And that's been a big part of his progression too.
He didn't play for Steve Alford down at Southeast Missouri State, did he?
That's Southwest Missouri State. You know,
oh, okay.
You got to get that right. That's where I went to school.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I went to Missouri State.
I thought he was at Southeast. I'll be darned. I thought it was Southern. Huh. Very cool. It may have been the same timeline, though. It's kind of along that.
Steve was there in 90, I want to say 95 to 99 which is when, I was graduated a year later, but yeah, they went to the Sweet 16 in 99.
Speaking of recruiting, his brother went to Evansville, obviously, so no allegiance between Indiana and Purdue there. What are the other offers that he's getting or has received since then? Any other Big Ten offers right now?
Just Purdue and IU are at this point. I think most schools probably wait to see him again in the spring and summer on the AIU circuit. And actually, the day I was down there, Dane Fife was there watching him, and they ended up offering. I think it was, I don't know, 3 weeks later or something like that. And Matt Painter had been in there a couple of weeks before I was there, and they offered him actually that night. So, two really big offers out of the gate, and he's getting. It's not even worth listing all the schools who are recruiting him. It's just a wide range right now, but yeah, I don't know. I think it could be an in-state battle, really. I mean, you never know how these things progress over the years, but it's such a long way off till he would actually get to college. But I could see that becoming a two-horse race, and then maybe you have some of those national programs come in too to compete. But he seems like a kid who would like to play in the state, but you never know. I mean, that could change depending on who's recruiting you and who what kind of connection you make with that coaching staff. I always thought Kyle Guy would be an in-state guy, and he ended up going to Virginia and having a great experience.
He would have been, from what I understand, if certain particular situations did not change that. So I think that was mitigated by other circumstances.
It was.